Yes, 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 yes. It is your favorite show. This is the 2vement podcast with your host, Davey D, and the vengeful one.
Hello, hello.
Yes, today we have a very special guest. We have the Fighting Irish with us. We have Rev from the Creep Squad. I was going to say Grim Creepers, but it's all in the family. Rev from Creep Squad. Rev, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Yourself, guys?
Awesome, awesome.
Living the dream.
Full disclosure, this is our second attempt at this. The first time was cool as ice. The second time will be twice as nice. We totally messed up the first time, and no one was recording audio. Not even Vengeful on the backup audio. So if we don't seem too wowed by his stories, it's because we already heard it. So we'll try to give a accurate reenactment of what went on. Yeah,
it was
man.
An epic podcast, man. It was 1 hour that nobody got to hear.
It was like
no, we had one listener.
Yeah, Envy.
We did.
Yeah,
we've got the one witness to know how epic that podcast was. And now we just got to top it today. So I mean,
yeah, that was just a trial run.
But even she wasn't recording.
Nobody. All right, man. Let's just hop into it. First question: which wrestler got you interested in the sport?
Going back as far back as I can remember. I mean, I've been watching at the very least for 30 years. I just turned 34 the other day. So I've definitely been watching longer than I can remember because some of my earliest memories are watching wrestling. I mean, it goes to, Hulk Hogan, Brutus Barber Beefcake, Macho Man, Ricky Steamboat, Jake the Snake, to the more new gen guys like, Bret Hart and the Hart Foundation, Shawn Michaels and DX, Kevin Nash and the NWO, and then, more new era. Gotta love CM Punk. And then even newer, you got, guys like Balor and AJ and Daniel Bryan, but it's a wide variety. It was some times where they weren't keeping my interest nearly as well as others, but I keep coming back for more.
Well, it seems like from that list you are a fan of technical wrestling.
Oh, absolutely. Now I mentioned the Hart Foundation. You gotta love them. They are some of the most technical sound wrestlers out there. And I mean, I gained a new level of respect for Owen Hart. Unfortunately, more so after he passed, which we discussed that last night as well during take one. I was actually there the night that he passed in Kansas City at Kemper Arena, almost 19 years ago.
Wow,
that's crazy to think that it's been that long. And yet, I bet even more so for you, it feels like yesterday. I just remember it was like 7 a.m. I was in the library prior to school starting. I was in high school at the time, and one of my friends walked up to me and he told me that Owen Hart had died the night before, and I was just in shock. It was like one of those moments that you just don't forget, and it always seems so fresh. And I can't imagine what it was like being in Kemper Arena that night as it happened. Can you kind of walk us through what you rember? I know you're pretty young at the time still.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was 14. I wasn't too young, but I actually no, I was 15. Sorry. So not long before the match was scheduled to start, I think actually a little bit into the previous match, my dad nudged me and he pointed up to the catwalk, and there we see Owen Hart in full blue blazer regalia and one other guy, and we can tell they're getting ready, and he's going to do the drop in, kind of like Sting did with the what do you call it, the rappelling gear, tether, whatever you want to call it. And so we're more interested in watching him than the match that's going on, honestly. And then after that match, we're still watching, and then they put up a promo because he was scheduled to face the Godfather for the Intercontinental title that night.
Hmm.
And so I turned my head for a split second to watch the big screen. I turned my head back, and there he is mid fall.
Whoa.
And
Wow.
the bad part is, and I you not, the majority of the crowd obviously didn't believe it was him at first because there were people chanting boring. And
Wow.
not too long after that, his legs and arms started to move just a little bit, and people realized that it was actually him and not like a dummy.
Right.
So yeah, they stopped that pretty quick, but I think that was the worst part of the crowd. Now, unlike people that were watching at home, we never got a status update in the crowd.
Hmm.
They never announced anything. They just rushed to his side, took him out backstage, and that was that. They never mentioned it again. But as we were getting ready to leave, we of course stopped by the bathroom before we left the building, and this is when not everybody and their mother had a freaking cell phone. So somebody had gotten a call from somebody at home and said it's all over the news that he had he'd fallen and he passed away.
Hmm.
So
Wow.
at the time, I wasn't thinking about cell phones. And, they were just saying, I heard that he died. And I was like, well, we can just get home and, we'll check the news. And sure enough, it was all over the news. And whenever WWE Network came up and I subscribed, better believe that was the first thing I watched because I never got to see the television perspective of that show.
Whoa.
How did they cover that? Did I actually haven't gone back to watch it? Did they edit it out, or did they kind of?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even remember if they did, Jim Ross's little speech to the camera about how he had fallen and how he had passed. I don't remember whether they cut that part or not, but I keep hearing that Jim Ross had a little speech to the camera about it.
Might probably be
Yeah.
able to find it on YouTube or something.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's one of those
somebody's
things
got to record that.
that I've always been curious about, but it it's still emotional for me just thinking about it because like you, I really loved Bret Hart, the rest of the Hart Foundation. It's just one of those things that, and especially like listening to Bret talk about his brother, even to this day, and how much he misses him. It's just like it's
Hmm.
heartbreaking.
Right, and I mean, not just Brett, not just other family members, but I mean, the way all the guys talked about Owen and the dedication of Owen, or Raw is Owen the very next night. Just how many people obviously loved that guy. And oddly enough, roughly a year and a half earlier, Brian Pillman had passed away, and they did the tribute show, which was in Kansas City. And I was supposed to be at that show, but something came up and I wasn't able to make it. But he had passed away the day before somewhere in Minnesota.
And he was one of your favorites too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Ever since I first saw him in WCW in the early '90s, I loved it. I mean, the Flying Brian gimmick, the him being part of the Horsemen, especially the loose cannon gimmick, loved it
Mhm.
all. I still rave that him and Steve Austin were one of the best tag teams of all time.
Hollywood Blondes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean their teamwork was great, but I think you can only imagine if the powers that be had just allowed them to let their personalities out a little bit more,
Oh,
it
absolutely.
would have been unbelievable.
Right. And imagine if Stone Cold Steve Austin and the Loose Cannon
Oh
had
my
teamed
god.
up.
My God.
That would have been
the freedom
awesome.
that they had in the Attitude Era, imagine the possibilities. I mean, Pillman's got a gun. That right there, everybody was freaking out. I was freaking out, and I've known about the show aspect of the business as far back as I can remember. There's never been a time that I can think of that I was like, "Oh, this is so real."
Yeah, but
Pillman's
Pillman
got a
had
gun.
Pillman just had
I
a
was
way
thinking it
of
might be.
yeah, he just had a way of forget that it's a show. He made you believe that he was crazy.
Absolutely, he made it seem so real.
Yeah, there's some levels of acting that I think it's missing in a lot of these characters today, unfortunately. But because there were
Right,
just some guys back in the day that were just so believable, even in an era that maybe some of the gimmicks weren't believable, but just some of the acting just made you think that, oh, that's actually who they were.
Right, and absolutely, I'm sure it has something to do with the production value. In the late '80s, early '90s, and in the late 2000s, and into today, they weren't given the freedom that they were in like the Attitude Era.
That's
And
true.
during the Attitude Era, they got so much freedom, and everybody said the best characters are that person with their personality turned up to 11.
Yeah.
Right.
That was Pillman just turned up to 11. That was The Rock. That was Austin just turned up to 11. Dialed up more than they actually would be. Now, apparently, from what I understand, Enzo's Enzo, but not a lot of other people are just themselves turned up to 11. I do believe that CM Punk fell under that category, though.
Yeah.
I could believe that. You were telling us yesterday that you had a special kind of connection to him as a superstar and as a fan.
Yeah, I have a vast amount of respect for CM Punk, mostly because of the straight edge lifestyle that he lives. I mean, with all the bumps and injuries that these guys have, and he doesn't drink, never smoked a cigarette, and never took prescription painkillers. I don't know about like Tylenol or ibuprofen, stuff like that, but he stayed away from all that. I got a massive amount of respect for that guy. And I mean, he worked the mic better than most. He was better in the ring than most, in my opinion. And not a lot of people are going to agree with me on this, but in my opinion, he was the best overall performer ever. He may not be the best in ring. Well, hear me out on this. He may not be the best in ring. He may not be the best on the mic. He may not be, the best personality. But if you factor all those and kind of average them out, he has the highest average, in my opinion.
You know what? Come to think of it, I don't know if I necessarily disagree with that, because I'm just thinking about who are the best guys on the mic.
Right, like the best talkers.
The best talkers. You're thinking, obviously, in this day, Cena and The Rock.
But they're
and
not
Austin.
that great in the ring. Not as good as Punk was.
They're not. I mean, I would say maybe Austin back before the neck injury.
Oh, absolutely.
But
when
afterward, he was really not. Yeah.
Are we forgetting Chris Jericho?
Ooh, okay. Oh, that's a good one.
I'm like, come on now.
Yeah, I was definitely forgetting Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
But I would definitely put Punk and Jericho right there next to each other.
I would agree with that.
I'd say so. And
I haven't seen a lot of
Michaels
Kenny Omega, but he might be up there too.
Ooh, Kenny Omega. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like if you had to make like a Mount Rushmore of the top, it'll be Punk, Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho, and who else?
Let's see. Shawn Michaels.
Okay. Yeah.
I think so.
Very entertaining on the mic, great personality, great in-ring performer.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think I've really thought about you know, the Mount Rushmore from that point of view, I've always thought about the best in-ring performers because that's what I gravitate to the most. Like I enjoy guys on the mic that are funny, but it doesn't really, once they get in the ring, I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
the case with The Rock for me. Loved him on the
Right.
mic. Once the match started, I could care less. But
Every once in a while, he had a good match. Like he had a ton of good matches with McFoley, but you know those were very entertaining, but they weren't, you know, your typical 5-star match like
yeah,
Cena versus Punk at Money in the Bank 2011. You know,
right. That's true. I think, I mean, I blame it on Bret Hart. He kind of spoiled me. You know,
right?
there's not too many guys that can match up to that level of technical wrestling and storytelling in the ring as that guy. I recently rewatched the Survivor Series match between him and Diesel, the world title match that was no DQ, where he went through that table that was back before tables
Hard
were
table. Yeah.
designed. Yeah, that was a hard table. That was
Yeah.
a real
What year
table.
was that?
I
94.
think it was 95 Survivor Series.
Okay.
But man, I mean, that is one to go back and rewatch because in an era, the new gen era was terrible overall. But man, he really carried that through. So then fast forward, Attitude Era, super entertaining. I took a break through the mid 2000s or through the 2000s pretty much. Um, Life got in the way, but you know, getting back into it this decade, earlier in the decade, it was like, man, this is not really that entertaining in any respect. I think it's gotten better lately, but you know, it's thanks to you know, Punk earlier and now of course Balor and AJ and Seth Rollins and those kind of guys.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I also had a bit of a break there, not because I wasn't entertained by it, but because like I couldn't afford to have cable, you know, and I didn't, you know, bother to go to a friend's house and watch it every week. So yeah, I was right around the same time, like 2004, 2005, something like that is when I dropped out, and about 2011 is when I came back in,
Well, it's a long
and
break.
it
Yeah.
was really CM Punk that did it.
Did you know about Punk before then?
I knew about him, but I had no idea how good he was.
Got it.
Like I had heard he was a good in-ring performer. I had no idea about the personality. I had no idea about the straight edge lifestyle. I had just heard the name. You know, I couldn't have told you two things about him at that point.
Mm. Was this when they had rebranded ECW and he was on that show?
Well, I had heard about him before that, but yes, during that time frame that I wasn't really watching, yeah, he was in ECW.
Okay.
Now, when I started back was right before the Money in the Bank Chicago match,
Oh.
where he walked out with the title.
No, speaking of believable moments in an otherwise you know, staged, you know, it's staged. That
Oh,
was like,
absolutely.
wait a second, is that one got me thinking.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
And the same with the contract signing that came shortly after that, whenever they were trying to re-sign him.
I forgot what
'Cause-
happened on that. I do remember like his social media postings with him having the belt in his refrigerator. It was just very not WWE-esque at all. It's like, is this real?
right. Well, I really remember like Vince McMahon sitting there in the chair, you know, at a table with the contract on the table, and there being a chair across from him for CM Punk, but CM Punk was standing up on the mic, you know, listing off all these demands, like where, oh, where are my WWE ice cream bars?
Yeah.
Right.
I never had an ice cream bar. That made me want an ice cream bar.
Well, I never had one of the WWE ones, but I've had plenty of actual ice cream bars, and trust me, they're worth it.
Ice cream sandwiches.
You know, off
Oh yeah,
topic, but
gotta love those.
still on topic in terms of nostalgia memorabilia. I never had a wrestling buddy. You know those little
Oh,
stuff.
I had Million Dollar Man. I have no
Ugh,
idea where it's at, but I had Million Dollar Man.
man, I wanted one so bad.
I remember
I
wanting one
got
so bad when I was a kid, but I ended up getting more of just the action figures across different eras.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I stopped getting the action figures when I was like maybe 10, but I had a ton of them. I still have a ton of them. They're just, in storage somewhere.
Probably worth a pretty penny if you find the right collector.
Oh, of course, I actually do have Andre the Giant here. I don't know why I have it here. It probably just got put in a box and it moved with me.
Uh-huh.
But I do have Andre the Giant sitting on my shelf. Well, standing
Nice.
on my shelf.
I've got Andre the Giant in WWE Champions. Does that count?
No.
Damn.
I just wish I could party with that dude.
Yeah.
He killed 160 beers in one sitting, is my understanding, and a
Holy
keg is
shit.
165.
God.
So he almost killed a keg by himself.
Yeah, he could
That
take
is
it.
nuts.
Do you have any wrestling video games in your stash?
Yeah, I have I want to say SmackDown versus Raw or Raw versus SmackDown 2009. But I don't think I ever played it. I think it was just one of those things I found it at GameStop for like $5. I figured I'd pick it up, and I just never put it in.
That's what.
I got 2K16, 2K17, but all those, in my opinion, pale in comparison to the old school Nintendo ones. My favorite being WrestleMania Challenge, and then, of course, the non-branded, totally generic pro wrestling.
I love pro wrestling. Starman.
Starman, and that's the only one whose name I can remember. I remember the guy that did the Iron Claw. I remember the Amazon guy.
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
I don't remember their names.
There's
But
one.
Starman, I mean, that's just a name that. How could you forget Starman?
I guess he was like the token luchador or something.
Well, I mean, he just had a star painted on his face, kind of like I think he had the Surfer Sting look going on, if I remember correctly.
Wasn't he all pink? Let me Google.
I think the pants were.
Let me Google.
I think the pants were pink and the star on his face was pink, but I'm pretty sure he had like a blonde haircut similar to Sting's back in that time frame.
I gotta see if I can find this thing on an emulator. I never even knew about it.
Bruh, that is like the best wrestling game in life.
Oh yeah, just spin that spam that kick that he does where he grapples you and then like kicks you in the chest and does a flip or a back flip.
Yes. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm looking at it. So
get my brother on that one every time.
He's all pink, blue trunks, blue boots, and he has a blue star on his face.
Okay, so I was remembering wrong.
See, and it says he's from Mexico, so I guess he was a token luchador.
Okay. So, forgive me. It's been like 20.
Yeah,
almost
eons. Man, this was the game. Awesome.
Oh yeah, it was an absolutely great game.
Did you have to pay hundreds of dollars for a chance to get a new character in it?
Well, to be fair, there never was the option to even pay $1 for a new character. It just came on a cartridge, and that was that. There was no expansion.
The good old days of gaming.
Right.
Yeah. They made the cartridge, and that was the game.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They had to make it work the first time.
Right.
No,
yeah, there were no
swings.
downloadable updates for glitches and bugs.
None of that.
No, not at all. Why don't we switch gears a little bit, and why don't you talk to us a little bit about your faction history in the game?
Well, let's see. I started playing the game right around Royal Rumble of last year, and I never thought I would take the game nearly as seriously as I ended up taking it. As soon as factions became available, of course, you had the Vince McMahon missions that gave you like $10 for joining a faction, 50 for leveling an acrobat, or evolving an acrobat. You only got like coins or TP for leveling them, something like that. But I didn't really put a lot of thought into what faction to join because I never thought I'd take this game too seriously. So I just clicked on the faction page, and there's that 5 that come up right away, and there's the Finn Balor Club. I said, what the hell? I'll go ahead and join that one. I like Finn Balor.
Yeah.
So I joined that one, and I'm playing there pretty often, and I start getting into the game more and more, and the faction feuds start coming up, and it's like, hey, that seems like fun. Let's try to join in on one of those, and I join in, and I see that there's 4 people in the queue, so I go ahead and join in, and I go ahead and start my battles, and I see that nobody else is moving.
Wow.
Looking back, knowing what I know now, more than likely they joined hours ago, hadn't just waiting for somebody else to join, left and forgot they were in the queue. And back then there weren't as many bugs. It didn't kick them out of the queue like we get all the time now. So I got killed pretty quickly, and I never saw anybody else move in that. So that was the one brawl I ever took place in the Finn Balor Club. After a couple months, I realized that somehow I had become the leader of the Finn Balor Club. I'm guessing the original leader had left, and it just defaulted to me. And then after a while, I started spending, and gift bags started going out, and I realized that when I buy something, we get gift bags, but I never got any gift bags if I wasn't buying something. And I saw this Reddit post. Somebody was saying how many bags they got because so and so came out, and I was like, I should really try to get in one of those factions. I had seen the faction leaderboard for the feuds. I saw CreepSquad up there all the time. It's like, there's no way I'm ever going to be a part of that team. Those guys, man, they're awesome. I'm never going to be that good. Because they'll just keep getting stronger while I try to get stronger, but they'll just keep getting stronger, Yeah. So I responded to this guy that was on Reddit in a DM, and I told him my situation, and he said that he wasn't part of the recruiting team for his faction, but he'd get back to me. A couple days later, he tells me to go and request Creepy Legends. So I did, and nearly instantaneously, I belted home there. It just was a fit. The personalities meshed really well. People were always happy to help and chat about anything and everything. Especially learning that it's apparently not the brightest idea to level up everyone at the same time. Pick one guy for each class and level them up, and then go back to somebody else. And then eventually we got the trainers, and you want to work the trainers up too. Now, a couple months after that, I performed well enough in Feud that I got the call up to the CreepSquad. Wow. Never thought that I'd ever make it, but I did. And now here I am, one of their leaders.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I kind of, when you were talking about the Finn Balor Club, that reminds me of the first faction I joined, which is called the P1 Club. And as a fan of AJ Styles, I thought, hey, I'll join the P1 Club. And nobody said anything ever. So inactive. And then I was like, okay, this faction sucks. So I'm gonna go join another one. And another one, and another. Like, all the other ones were less active than P1 Club. So then eventually I came back, and I was like, this is still not that much better. And then I randomly fell into 2vement, and this guy Davey was like all chatty and happy, and
drugs,
being all nice. And I was like, okay, I'll just stay here. And then we got a Discord server, and it was all downhill from there. I can't quit the game now.
Yeah. No. Yeah, aside from those factions, those are the only factions I've ever been in. Aside from a very brief time frame at the very end of a feud where I found myself factionless, and I just went ahead and joined 2vement for a couple hours.
I remember that day. We were like, dude, we just got a Creep Squad guy. I think he wants to join us.
The leader.
This is so cool. He's like the leader or something.
Only thing, he used us to see feud scores and then he ditched us.
Well, a little known fact, and we actually went into this yesterday, but since we lost that whole recording, one of the lasting contributions that you made to us, Rev, was that day that you came in to say hi. We had a good time chatting for quite a while, and once you went back, you said, "Is there any way I could hang out in the Discord to chat? I totally understand if not. It's just I enjoyed chatting with you guys." And I said, "Well, we've not had anyone in our Discord that's not in the faction, but we'll figure something out." So then Davey and I spent some time trying to, learning a little bit more about how Discord does permissions, and figured, let's do this Friends of 2vement section. And that was the birth of kind of, the Friends of 2vement part of our Discord, where now we have such luminaries such as yourself, Gerson of Gerson's Gaming,
Painful Mercy,
Little C, Painful Mercy, the guide site guy, Big Papa Brian, our mutual friend, and Calvin, and we've got a whole bunch of people from the community now just hanging out there, which is so cool. And it would not have happened, and chances are that, and therefore the podcast down the road, might not have happened if it weren't for you coming by to say hi and just asking us if there was a place to hang out.
Yep. And hey, I stand by every word of that. I don't even really bend the truth that often, let alone lie. Whenever I told you guys that I genuinely enjoyed chatting with you guys, I meant every word of it. By no means was I looking to leave Creep Squad or the Creep family, because that truly is a family to me. But I truly enjoyed chatting with you guys, and it's one of those things that, if I ever happen to get booted from Creep Squad, you'll probably see me back at your door.
I'll boot you too. I'll be the first to boot you. We don't want you.
You left us before. What makes you think, or what makes us think that you won't leave again?
You left us before you even joined us.
Oh my god.
No, but I mean, we're definitely for a very specific type of gamer. We're not really a feuding faction, but we do like having active players, because we all hate a faction that doesn't do heals and all the basic stuff. So,
of course.
But yeah, it was definitely a major contribution to the growth of our faction the community that might not have happened if not for you, Rev. So thank you for that.
And of course, you're more than welcome.
And let's not forget his newest innovation, implementing a podcast chat. That wouldn't have happened without him as well.
Indeed. Again, not completely my idea, but I brought it to the table.
Well, to be fair, if we had recorded properly yesterday, then we might have said, "Oh, that's a great idea," but his episode's over. Who knows if this is going to be interesting to other people? And I might have gotten lazy and not started it. But since we didn't record it, kind of had to make the podcast chat channel for today.
Yeah. Yep. Kind of need it now.
Worked out.
Yeah. So going back to kind of your history with the game, what's been, like, say, personally, and maybe also in the context of your faction family, what's been the most memorable or the highest accomplishment in Champions?
I'm gonna have to take the easy out here. Up until this, not this past feud, but the feud before, I was like a 4 to 5 million guy when it comes to 48-hour feuds. It wasn't anything impressive, especially when you've got other people on my team that are doing 25, 26 million, 20 million, 17 million, 15 million, all that stuff. And like I said way back when, I never thought I'd be on the Creep Squad level. even when I joined Creep Squad, I was intimidated by all of them.
Understandable.
I'm still intimidated by them to this day. But I now have gotten to the point where I have monsters on my roster. I have the proper trainers. I have those monsters in my faction that are now motivating me and keeping me motivated. And not this past feud, but the feud before, I more than doubled my personal best, which was 4.9, and I got like 11.7.
Whoa.
Ooh.
And then this past feud, the Fastlane feud, I beat that. I got like 13.4. Now, for a while there, I was on pace to get 15. But, stuff kept coming up. I kept getting, messages. My attention kept getting diverted. And eventually I was like, well, I may not be able to hit 15, but I could still hit 14.
Yeah.
Then I overslept. Like, well, I won't be able to hit 14, but I can still hit 13.
That's impressive.
Yeah, sleep is for the weak.
That is an impressive ascent to go from 4.9 that much higher in just one and then the second feud. Do you have a goal for this coming one?
I want to hit 15. I want to hit 15 for this feud. With the open spots, I'm pretty sure that I can do it without much trouble.
Yeah, this is like one of the most unrestricted feuds in quite a while.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can. Oh, I just got reminded it's 24 hours. So let's say I'm gonna hope to get 7.5.
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure there's somebody listening right now that could probably hit 15 if they were able to go all 24. Maybe even 2 or 3 of them.
Who's that? Lanky Mac, Canation?
Canation, CGI and Ops, Lanky probably, Coyote, Showtime. They're all monsters.
You're just listing everybody that's listening right now.
He's pandering.
Well, there's that, but also, I mean, guys that aren't even here, like Super SBT, like the big dog of Creep. He could probably hit 15 if he didn't sleep.
My God.
And yeah, good call. CGI. Punisher could probably hit 15 without breaking a sweat. But I mean, we've got so many people on our team that are capable. Sometimes it's just a matter of how much time they put into it.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think so much of it is just the amount that you're willing to grind. More so than even obviously you got to have the basics in terms of the roster for that feud, but effort is not exhibited in your roster score for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Back in my Creepy Legends days, there was a guy who, I mean, he's still with us now. He's just not nearly as active as he used to be. Before he ever had a 3-star guy, he would put up 3.5 million.
Wow.
All of his guys were 2-star or lower. There was not a single 3-star guy. That is the definition of grinding more than a stripper that's about to get evicted.
oh, that's great. That's great.
That and the people that I mentioned earlier, they do the exact same thing. It's almost as if they have that habit that they just spent too much money on and they're about to lose their house because of it, but they just keep on grinding. But
on that topic, tell us a little bit about, because I'm one of the things that I'm really, really curious about and always trying to learn from anyone and everyone is different styles and techniques to unify people and get people working in the same direction for a common goal. And with Feud, obviously the the sacrifices are huge, especially in a 48-hour feud every other week, with some, at least back in January, with some intermingled, weekday feuds in there. The demand is so much to ask of a team to put forth that kind of effort, but you guys do it. So how do you unify your faction mates to put forth that kind of effort?
I of course I can't get too deep into everything but we do, but I can be pretty generic. The main motivation for the vast majority of us is to take back that number one spot. We were number one for the first 10 feuds. Nobody could touch us.
I remember that.
Then of course we slipped a bit, and execution started coming up, and they kept coming up, and they beat us. And the vast majority of us are more motivated by taking back number one than anything else. Now, do we have our little wagers or our friendly rivalries? Absolutely. But you put somebody like me up against somebody like Kanation. If we're both going full force, I have no chance. I'll just be honest here. If she's only able to do like half time and I'm able to go full time, I've got a shot, but she still has a good chance to beat me. But yeah, I think the biggest thing that slows us down sometimes is the people that get demotivated, and that is what we try to really curb.
How do you do that? I mean, without tons of detail, but just on a high level psychology standpoint. It's because I'm dealing with it in the game. I think a lot of people are too, especially after the anniversary month-long event and everything that went into that, not knowing what event's going to come next and all this calculations. And finally, when it's all done, it's like, now what? And I think a lot of people are at that stage of the game right now. We're just kind of waiting for the next big thing to get us back excited. But it sounds like for you, you've got that constant goal of reclaiming that number one spot that keeps a lot of people motivated. How do you unify everyone else around that might not be as motivated?
It's hard to say. I support anyone and everyone in our faction or in all of our factions. I really do. But I'm not like the motivational speaker of sorts. If somebody comes to me asking me, how to improve, by all means, I'm more than happy to, tell them that they're doing a great job and to keep it up. And if you ever have any questions, feel free to hit me up. I love helping people, but I'm not much of a motivator as a lot of others are. But I think the thing I think that we try to avoid the most is hitting what somebody feels is a minimum and then stopping. We try to keep people from doing that, but it's gonna happen. It's been happening as far back as I can remember, and I'm not saying it's that way in Grim Creepers, but
it's human nature, actually.
Right, it's human nature to hit what they think is enough and then to stop. But we also, as a species, need to get away from that. We need to not settle for good enough.
Right.
We should always strive for more. I do personally believe that we as a species are greedy, but some aren't greedy enough to keep themselves motivated.
That's
Now,
interesting.
you've got people like, say, like Mark Cuban, who, he's a billionaire now. He owns the Dallas Mavericks, but he keeps going and keeps buying more. It's not enough. And that may be a little overkill, but um, he is a good example of staying motivated. Not only doing enough, but doing more.
Well, I think so much of it is you have to be motivated by something more than the immediate goal. So if the
Exactly.
goal was, let's say, reclaim number one, and let's say, when the day comes that you do that, right? Is that going to cause some people to say, yes, we did it, and then take your foot off the gas for the next feud? Maybe, maybe not. But if the goal, like Kanation just said in the chat, doing it for the group motivates. Now, that's something that is beyond the current feud. It's beyond the next feud. It's beyond feuding, right? It's that connection that you have with your teammates that you're willing to put in the extra effort for them for the good of the family, right? And I think that's where a lot of the motivation probably comes from for a lot of you guys that are really dedicated to it, and for the people like Mark Cuban and others who are always looking to push to the next level, because it's more than just about the goal. It's not about that immediate goal. It's about having an impact that's far beyond what seems to be the what seems to be the point that you say you've accomplished it.
Yeah, and you've definitely hit the nail on the head on that. Some are cool with just enough to get by, some aren't.
But I think history's
And
also riddled with those stories of when that's not a good idea. Just remember the 2 Super Bowls ago, right? The
oh yeah,
Atlanta Falcons up 28-3 on the Patriots and took the foot off the
yeah,
gas, and look what happened.
exactly. And that's the thing, we can't. One thing that I've always thought whenever it was during feud, I mean, even the times where I knew I wouldn't hit 5 million, I was thinking to myself, how many points do I have? Not enough. How many points do I need? More. And if more people were like that, it might be a breeze to get back to number one and to keep number one.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of a quote by Michelangelo, the artist. I may be recollecting it loosely, but basically he said one of the travesties.
You don't mean
What? The Ninja Turtle?
Yeah, are you sure you don't mean Michelangelo the Ninja Turtle?
Yeah,
Nope,
I'm
I'm
referring to Master Splinter right here. So
Okay.
he basically said one of the travesties in life is not setting a goal too high and missing, but setting a goal too low and actually hitting it. So like you said, how many points I need? Not enough. I got to keep going and keep going and keep going until it is actually over. No matter how many points you have is not enough. It is that work ethic that will take you from being good to great, from being great to excellent. Is all about outdoing yourself and superseding your expectations.
Absolutely. And I got my work ethic from my dad and from my grandfather. I remember, even though he passed away when I was 8 years old, my grandfather, we'd be at his house for Thanksgiving dinner or for Christmas dinner or for Easter or just a generic visit. He would get a call and he'd have to go to work. He worked on power lines.
Oh.
If there was a storm that knocked out power lines, he was one of the first people they called. And he would pick up the phone, say, I'm on my way. He'd say, I'm sorry, guys, I got to go. He'd strap up his boots and he'd be out the door. He's always ready. He missed my birth because of an ice storm. I was born during the Great Ice Storm of 1984 in Emporia, Kansas. And if it weren't for that ice storm, he would have been right there with my parents to welcome me into the world. But other people needed power.
Yeah.
And from him, my dad got his work ethic. My dad, he's a mechanic and has been all my life. Well, he went to work and did his thing. And sometimes he would come home and sometimes he would hang out. Other times he would come home and he would keep working. Other times he didn't come home until 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night because he
Wow.
was out doing other jobs for other people, making more money to give us better than what he had.
Right.
And my brother and I had a long conversation about this a while ago. Um, my brother had complained about, you know, how little our dad was around when we were little, and by that time I had already realized, you know, it was a good thing why he wasn't around. And I explained to him exactly what I explained to you. He was giving us a better life. You know, don't fault him for looking out for us. You know, even though he wasn't there in physical form, he was there spiritually. He was doing what he was doing for us.
Yeah.
So I absolutely have that work ethic from them. And it's not only in this game, but for my job as well.
Taking care of the
See,
family.
I think that's a much healthier way of looking at why you're putting forth the effort, because there's the people that set the bar low to achieve it and feel good about themselves because they might not feel good about themselves. There's the people who feel like they have something to prove and they'll work, and nothing will ever be good enough, right? Which complete, you know, there's nothing that will be good enough. And, you know, in my past career, I worked with a lot of those type of personalities back my Wall Street career, and it's like it's never enough for them, and it's sad because there's other aspects of their life that suffer because of that. Now, what I kind of gather from your story and also from what Kanation said in the chat earlier is that when you make it about other people, it obviously still motivates you to try hard and do the best you can for them, but I think it's in a much more healthy mindset.
Absolutely. And you know, back in the days when I wasn't as high of a scorer, you know, I always felt bad. You know, I mean, I do so much for this team outside of it that I wasn't worried about my value to the team. But when it came to feuding, I wasn't as valuable as the majority of the people. But I know that I wasn't letting them down because of how much else I do.
Right.
Right.
That little bit of disappointment when it came to feud, you know, it always got to me a little bit. Everybody listening right now, whether I have said it to you or not, thank you for keeping me motivated and keeping me, you know, going. Every single one of you and more have kept me motivated.
I think
And
go ahead, sorry.
oh, sorry, I was kind of stretching it out a little bit. Go ahead.
I was saying I think we as people we tend to focus on our shortcomings and we don't realize that a body is a sum of its parts, meaning if the body was all eyes, we wouldn't be able to do anything but look. We couldn't eat, we couldn't move. If the body was all feet, we wouldn't be able to taste, to smell. So where you may be feeling like you're insignificant in one area that you perceive to be a major part, there are all these other parts of the body, you know, the CreepSquad body that depends on you to do those things because they're too busy handling their functions. So, you
Oh,
know,
absolutely.
yeah, you gotta, like they say, you can't see the forest for the trees. You gotta take a wider view. It's like, okay, I may not be what I want to be in this particular area, but had not for me, CreepSquad as a whole may not be as efficient as it is right now.
Exactly. And CGI just mentioned something about that in the chats about how much I really do for the faction. It wasn't all about my feud score, and I always knew that. But like I said, there was that little bit of me that got down on myself about it. Now, if I ever mess up in any aspect, be it in this game or at work or you know, getting caught with a speeding ticket, I will take it out on myself more than you ever could. You know, if you're my boss and you're yelling at me, I'm sitting there laughing because the damage has already been done in my head. You know, I realize when I f up, I realize when I've done something wrong. You don't have to tell me.
Mm-hmm.
I will come down on myself harder than anyone else ever could. And I will absolutely own up to every single mistake that I ever make.
That's
But
a lot more than can be said for a lot of people in the world right now.
And
True.
But also, to be fair, I don't look at it as mistakes. I don't make mistakes. I have learning experiences, because when you learn from them, they stop being mistakes and they start being learning experiences.
Yeah.
I can see where
so
you
long as you
get
do
your
that, you will
name,
never
Reverend.
make a mistake in your life.
The wise Rev.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You were saying
Yeah,
see
you know
that's
what?
why he got
I
his
would
name?
I would just say, from what you just said right there, I can tell you that regardless of your feud score, you're one of the most important people in your faction, hands down.
And there's not many people in our factions that would disagree with that.
That's awesome, man. I mean, it's I think, especially when you're trying to get 100 people who, I don't know if anybody knows any of the others, in person or that sort of thing, but largely spread across the world, and you're all trying to get to the same place for a common goal. Like Davey said, it's about everybody performing their function. What is their gift? What are they the best at? And do that really well and work without ego to help everyone else. And I think just you can't do it without good leadership. And I understand that there's multiple leaders in your family, but at the same time, I think there's always going to be a handful, like maybe 1, 2, or 3 culture leaders that kind of set the tone, even if it's not what's directly said during certain situations, but just the way you are that defines the group. And they're lucky to have you. And if they were to ever kick you out one day, you can come knocking at our door.
Boo.
As long as you don't want to feud. As long as you're retired from
feuding.
feuding.
I'd still want to feud, but I mean, I wouldn't necessarily need you guys to be, more active than you are now. Just fill the queue in. I'll take everybody out.
Go to work.
Yeah.
With the people that I've learned from, some of them listening now, some of them probably listening later, but all of them, current and or former creeps. I've learned so much, and I've evolved so much that just join the queue for me. I'll take everybody out. I won't ask for any heals, because I'll ask right now, everybody that's listening, when was the last time you remember seeing me put up a heal request at all? Not just during feud, but at all.
Wow,
Let's
they
give them
say
like
never.
30 seconds to respond.
Wow.
What does your health pack count look like?
Right now, it's just barely over 300.
That'd be why.
Yeah, Vengeful over here, Mr. 2000.
Yeah, we have some people in the faction that have over 1,000.
Yeah, I think in my case, it was just the roster grew to a certain point that I just don't need to heal anybody.
Yeah, no,
so
Dave, after we realized what happened last night, you and I kept talking a little bit. You remember how many bags I said that I had just waiting to be opened?
What was it, like 830 or something like that?
blue bags, no less.
830 blue bags. Those are all gone now, because I needed to get my roster in order for this feud. But the white ones, what was it like?
It was like
3,000
something.
2K, yeah, like ridiculous number. It's like I'm not even understanding.
Yeah, I only open them when it's time for feud and I need more health packs. I just let them sit otherwise. I know plenty of people that they say I'm so OCD that I get them as soon as I open them as soon as I get them, and that was me back in the Finn Balor Club days. That was me during the early Creepy Legends days. But when you're part of a faction that you get so many bags like this, sometimes it's hard to open all the bags. Whenever those anniversary coins were coming out because of
Oh my
the
God, yeah.
anniversary sale, I was getting those for weeks. I logged in after working for 8 hours, and I had over 100 things to claim. You
Must be
know,
nice.
So what you're
it's
saying
incredibly nice.
is
And thank you,
Creep
everyone.
Squad single-handedly clogged the queue for the rest of the game.
I wouldn't say single-handedly by any means. I'm sure execution helped, and I'm sure Haven helped, and Why So
Shit,
Serious
I
at the time.
helped.
They helped. Yeah, absolutely. I bought more than my fair share of anniversary coins. Probably more than I should, but I ended up getting George the Animal Steel, so I'm happy.
Oh man.
Oh, you lucky bastard. Who's the one I was going after? I would have stopped as soon as I got him. Didn't happen.
Oh, I got him, and then I kept going because there were others that I wanted. I wanted $1 Million Man. I didn't get him. I wanted Showboat Braun Strowman. I didn't get him.
Listen. You didn't get $1 Million Man in this game. This game will die one day. But you have the $1 Million Man wrestling buddy.
Damn right I do.
That was a good tie-in.
But I don't get his trainer ability with the wrestling buddy.
Yeah, that's true. You can't choose loot boxes with the wrestling buddy.
Exactly.
Going back to mistakes, when you said if you learn from it is not a mistake, is a lesson. What is the biggest lesson you've learned in this game?
I would definitely go back to not leveling everyone up evenly. That's pretty much the way I was going about it whenever I first joined Creepy Legends, and that was one of the first things I learned. You focus on one of each class and get them as far as you can get them, and then you go back to somebody else. A lot of times it'll be their trainers.
Yeah.
When I joined Creepy Legends, I sent you guys a screenshot. If one of you are able to, can you put that in the chat? My roster didn't look that great, but it was workable. I had Finn Balor and I had Batista, both at 3-star bronze, and this was before trainers. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, that was me, leader of the Finn Balor Club.
With a Finn Balor, no less.
Exactly. It was only
So
fitting, right? And I did try to get the Demon when he first came out, and I failed. But then my first try at Balor Club Balor, I got him. And then I learned how much better Balor Club Balor was than Demon Balor, and I felt so relieved that I didn't get him. There's I mean, especially Big Papa Brian and Danger Kenny B. They were big teachers and motivators in my early days of Creepy Legends, and Showtime as well. I mean, he really helped out. It was pretty much get your best guy in each class to 3-star bronze or 3-star silver if you can do it. And if you have the tokens, take them to 3-star gold. If you don't, once they've hit 3-star silver, go back and find another one that's good and keep moving forward with them. But now it's starting to get to the point where I'm struggling to make the decision on who to take up next. After a conversation with you guys and with Punisher the other night, I took Harlem Heat Booker to 3-star bronze just last night.
Yeah, you will not regret that one.
Yeah, I sure hope so.
Yeah, he's awesome, especially with the WCW link on a tag. Yeah, it's just so great. But I would say I'm actually at a stage now where I'm looking at the rest of my roster going, I don't think any of these guys are worth taking any further. And it's like I think I'll just sit on some tokens and wait for 4 stars.
Yeah, exactly. If that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. I mean, right now I'm sitting on more hand exercisers and more boxing gloves than I think I can ever use. I have like 280 hand exercisers and 123 boxing gloves.
Good
But
lord.
I've got 2 or 3 Wyatt masks. You know, what's with
Two or three.
the token balance in this game?
2 or 3. That's crazy. Yeah, for me, it's those 2-star gold tokens, man. Like you get the 12 from Versus every week, the 2 from Sunday Night Heat, and then all those 2, 3, 4 cases just constantly. Like today, we got 6 of them. You know, because they took out the Shamrocks and replaced them each of those nodes with 2 of those 2, 3, 4 cases. So I was like, okay, 6 of them. Maybe I'll get a 3-star silver token. Nope, all 2-star gold.
Right, and those ever since
that.
they started putting those in the limited tours, it's just been a joke. I mean, I know some people that have gotten lucky with them, but every single one of them that I've ever gotten, and I guarantee I've gotten over 200 of them, of the one-time pull ones, every single one of them has been a 2-star gold or a 3-star silver, and I get 1 3-star silver for maybe every 10 2-star golds that I get, but no 3-star golds, no 4-star silvers. All I can say is thank anything that ever may be considered holy for the headliner chips.
Oh man,
Yeah,
those are the
no
best.
kidding. Those are the best. Yeah, those are like one of those few things that they added to the game that I'm like, you did it right. That's a good move.
Absolutely, and I do wish that the 4-star pull rate was a little bit better, but I don't want them to ever hear that, because if they hear that, then they'll probably lower the odds.
Yes, and now we'll never know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually the other pet peeve of mine in this game are victory bag 2s. Like there's only so many, 1-star gold cane posters I want. Like can you even the 500 coins in a victory bag 1 is more useful than most of these victory bag 2s.
Right, and most of the time when I go to those, it's because I'm out of blue bags, and I need some health packs. But the health pack drop rate with those is probably more atrocious than the 3-star silver drop rate in the cases that we were just talking about. But it's obviously better than the 3-star gold and the 4-star silver drop rates. But I'll take the Big Show TP, the Kane TP, the KO TP, whatever TP's in there, I'll take it. And I may not be happy about it, but I'll take it, because whenever those 4 stars do come out, most of those guys are going to be the ones that are worth it. And I'll be sitting on a mountain of TP for them. All I'll need is the tokens and the coins.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, we don't know who's going to get good, but I think we've seen enough history to know that, like when trainers came out, we were all hating on Titus, right? Getting Titus from our mega pulls, but as soon as trainers came out, like, oh, this guy's actually really, really useful. If you have a striker, you need this guy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You got Finn Balor, you got Bray Wyatt, you need him.
Yeah, so he became super useful, and if my understanding of what was apparently data mined in the past, I don't know if it's still current, but if the characters with trainer bonuses of take less gem damage, eventually at higher levels of 4 stars become an MP trainer for that color. Now you're taking a trainer and a character, like let's say Technician Jericho, who sucks as a trainer, sucks as a character, but all of a sudden will become a really useful trainer down the line. I could see them doing something like that. But at the same time, like, again, you got to go one person per class. So, there's no way that I'm going to take, let's say, Trickster Bret Hart as a secondary purple MP trainer over Undisputed Future to 4 stars. And how long is it going to take to get a second guy up there?
Oh, absolutely. And I remember back in my early days of Creep Squad, not Creepy Legends, but of Creep Squad, we had people that would, I mean, we still do, have, you know, people that would dive into the code and, you know, tell us, you know, what's coming up and, you know, what to expect. But I remember specifically in those days, we had people that would look for 4-star moves and, you know, how strong a move would be at 4 stars, what moves are unlocked at 4 stars. And, you know, these things can be changed at any time because we've heard so many times about, you know, trainer abilities being changed right before release, move sets being changed right before release. But apparently, Titus is an absolute beast at 4 stars based on what was in the code. And like I said, I don't know if it's still accurate. It can always change.
Pray
But
tell.
he was a beast.
Yeah, I mean it could always
don't
change, but even as a trainer, I think the create more gems trainer just continue to create more gems. So Titus makes a ton of sense to keep him going.
Oh, absolutely. Especially when you have somebody like Balor or Bray, or next
Or
big
NBT
thing,
or
which I don't
Volkov.
have. But yeah,
All right, so
I
I have
loved to get
NBT
Volkov.
and no steel, and you have steel, and let's just merge our rosters, man.
Yeah, I wish we could. I'll play during feud time. You can play all the other times.
Yeah, I'll play versus and keep hitting you guys. It's so awkward now that I'm in the same chat as you. Like I recognize all your names from versus. Like, sorry.
Speaking of feud, are there any funny feud moments you can think of?
Oh, there's plenty. Now, I can't really single any out. I'm sure the people listening probably could do a better job than I could. But you know, of course, having my dog, you know, you got to take him out every now and then. You can't just, you know, let him chill in the apartment. And you know, even if I had a house and I had a backyard that was fenced in, I don't trust that dog off of a leash. That's how I got him. I got him because he would always run away from his previous owner. Owner got tired of it and said, "You can keep him." So I say this with nothing but affection for my dog because my dog is great. You know, for the most part, he's absolutely great. He gets a little anxiety and he tears some things up from time to time, but that's normally because of loud noises like thunder. But I mean, he stands about knee high. He's got a lot of fur. His fur is black. He's a male, which makes him the son of a female dog, which is technically a bitch, which means he is my little black hairy son of a bitch. So, you know, especially new people, they don't really understand the context when I say, "I'll be right back, guys. There's a little black hairy son of a bitch here that needs some food." Or
That can be
black hairy son of a bitch here that needs to go outside.
Context is
you know,
key.
exactly. Now, over time, they learn that I'm just referring to my dog. But yeah, when you first join in, you have no idea what I mean.
Context is key.
I can see how that would raise some eyebrows.
Exactly.
So, how do you? I know you guys are feuding really hard, trying really hard to reclaim that #1 spot. How do you balance feuding with real life?
Well, one thing that we always say is real life comes first. You know, if somebody has to work and they might lose their job because they've missed too many days, then go to your job. You know, your job and keeping a roof over your head and keeping yourself healthy is more important than a game.
Right.
You know, there have been people that have serious issues when it comes to spending money, and I've been one of those people where I spend way too much money and I have to cut out certain things in order to get myself back on track to keep a roof over my head and over my dog's head and to keep my dog fed and to keep me fed. But I've always found a way. But there are some that just cannot find that balance, and they have to quit the game because it's just too tempting. But feud time, Many will forego sleep, but still go to work just so they're not holding the team back.
Wow.
And CGI is absolutely right, and I know Kanation has said it in the past. It's an addiction. Not only the feuding aspect when you're at a level such as ours, but increasing your roster and not only getting new guys, but improving the ones that you have. I still spend money that I shouldn't be spending just so I can get some tokens, just so I can get George the Animal Steel up to 5K as soon as possible, as opposed to waiting a few weeks to do it.
Right.
Just 2 weeks ago, I think it was, maybe a little over 2 weeks, I finally got all of the MP trainers up to 5K.
Nice. Congrats.
Thank you. And that's one of the things that I attribute my recent feud scoring success to, is the fact that I have 1 and 2 and 3 turn killers with the proper trainers now. I still had good trainers and I still had good guys before, but without those, I'm not scoring nearly as well as I could. With those, look at what I've done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, having the right trainers makes all the difference for sure.
Absolutely. And in versus too.
I almost wonder, I've gotten to a point where we'll get some newer players in our faction. And by newer I mean, maybe they're in the 50K ish range of roster talent. So not totally new, but they've got something to work with. And I almost wonder now, unless they have some no-brainer like Seth Rollins, Undisputed Future, or somebody like that, which in most cases they don't, I almost wonder if I would recommend just take it, if let's say, you're between a few different options, like maybe you take the MP trainer before the character that he's meant to train, because maybe in the process you pull somebody that's more worthwhile, but that MP trainer is always going to be worthwhile.
Right. And you pretty much hit the nail on the head, for me, at least, when it comes to one particular person on my roster, and that would be Rusev. Now, when I first got Rusev, he was one of the best powerhouses in the game, in my opinion. Not only that, but his trainer ability made it to the point where he creates more blast gems for Batista, who I also had.
Right.
And happy Rusev Day, by the way.
Happy Rusev.
Thank you, CGI.
Thank you.
Now, as soon as I could, I took those 5 kettlebells that I had and I made him gold. But that's before I ever pulled Vader. That's before I ever pulled Big Cass.
Wow. Yeah.
I absolutely wish I could take that back, get those tokens back, and use it on one of them instead. So just because you have the tokens to take somebody up, and just because that's your best right then, doesn't mean that you won't come across somebody better later.
Exactly.
It may take months, but it may happen.
Right, and when that time comes, you don't want to be short of the tokens.
Absolutely. And if there was a button that you could press that would let you keep all of your characters, but get every token back and every TP back ever spent, I would hit that in a second, less than a second, so I could undo all of the unnecessary evolves that I've ever done. I mean, I saw recently somebody took Big Show to 3-star gold. And
why?
I have him at 2-star silver, and I regret that.
And that was on a fuse.
Actually, I evolved him before I got the fuse, but then I got the fuse, and I figured, it's only 5,000 coins or 3,000 coins or whatever. I might as well go ahead and fill in that star, especially since a top-up is going on, and it'll kind of level him up a little bit.
My biggest regret was way long ago. I had the choice of, I had a 2-star bronze. I had Shield Seth Rollins before I had Wyatt and before trainers. I had Shield Rollins and I had Last Outlaw Undertaker. I was like, well, you know, Michael Cole always says he's the best striker in the game. I took Undertaker.
Boy, is Michael Cole wrong.
Right. Not in this game. Then again, we got Davey and his famous. I won't go there.
My Devon Dudley. Listen, no regrets. I love that dude.
Wait, no regrets or no regrets?
No regrets.
He's got a
really
3-star
not
bronze.
even like one letter.
He's got a 3-star bronze Devon Dudley. The best part was he was waiting so long for 2 more pimp hats to take Bray Wyatt to, I think,
the
silver.
longest while, man.
He was waiting the longest time. It was like, you know where you could have gotten.
Sorry to interrupt. We don't call them pimp hats in the Creep Squad community. We call them squiggler hats.
Squiggler hats.
Of one of our former members, Squiggler, who was the Creep Squad pimp.
Oh, he had all that money.
Yeah, he had a way of getting people to give us bags.
Oh wow! How can we get him in 2vement?
Oh, that's funny.
If he came back to the game and he just wanted a laid back faction, by all means, I'd definitely send him your way.
Squiggler hats.
But if he came back to the game and he wanted to, you know, go back at it the way he used to, sorry guys, you're not getting him back. He's coming back to Creep.
I'm actually just looking through my roster right now and seeing is there anybody in the 3-star range that if you gave me that option to take it back that I would. I don't know.
Oh, I meant a full roster reset, not just one guy.
Oh yeah.
Full roster reset.
Full roster reset. But I don't know, at least at the higher levels, if there's anybody that I totally regret. I mean, there's some guys that I don't use anymore just because, you know, like Brock Lesnar was my Powerhouse was my first mega pull, and
right,
he's not and for a while he was one of the best.
He's not as good as he used to be.
Yeah, but you know, like I still use him from time to time for fun. But yeah, I don't know if there's anybody really at a high level that, man, that was a huge mistake. Maybe 3-star silver Cena.
Yeah, but you have him training Andre, right?
Ago. Yeah, I have him training Andre right now. So yeah, I don't know.
Some good.
Yeah, now I don't remember who it was, but I took Showboat Dolph Ziggler to 3-star bronze, and like I said, I don't remember who it was that said it, but somebody said, "Did you really just do?" Dude, I have Andre at gold. I need more yellow gems.
That's right. Oh, and you know, and if it's after trainers, like Ziggler makes a ton of sense. Any of the MP trainers, and first and foremost, and then secondarily, any of the plus more gems trainers, whether it's a color or a type of gem, those are super, super valuable.
Oh, absolutely.
Who would you rank third after that to evolve?
Hold on to your tokens and wait for somebody better.
What do you mean for Showboats?
No, because he was saying first is like MP trainers, then create more types of gems. Then I was like, what other trainer ability would be third in line?
Now, when you say create more gems, are you also including like create more specialty gems like blast gems?
Yeah,
I'm putting them both together.
Yeah.
Okay. Then aside from that, yeah, I don't really see a lot of value at this point in X gems do more damage, or X moves do more damage, unless of course that's the best you have to work with.
Right.
Now, if in the highly unlikely circumstance that you have Finn Balor and you have Jerry Lawler, but you don't have Titus, and work with me on this, it's again a highly unlikely circumstance, but you do have, say, Dude Love that increases black gem damage,
right?
Then it's worth it.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's true. And I forgot the destroy gems, because that's super valuable too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Depending on who it's for. Yeah, like Barrett.
When it comes to like Yeah, NXT Dean Ambrose, where you can choose which gems you get to destroy. That's pretty valuable. Um,
And
but
actually, one that I've been having fun with recently, since I don't have steel, and I took next big thing Brock to 3-star gold and just maxed him out yesterday with the coin event, just because, I hope one day I'll get steel and it'll be fun to have him on there. But I've been experimenting with a no-sell setup with him to go up against all the versus Rollins with steel training him. So I basically have
Bell.
I have a 3-star silver trickster Bret Hart and a 2-star gold Baron Corbin. So together, he basically is taking like 45% less purple gem damage. So they do the choose 8 purple gems on turn 1, and he's taking like 20k damage.
That's nothing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, which is nothing. The only problem is that it doesn't protect him against all the, now the purple moves are charged, and that shuffle move, just once that charges another green move, then you're screwed. But
right,
but
and
it's
the
still
cascades that come down with different gems than
Yeah.
the ones you had protected against.
Yeah, but take less gem damage is interesting, especially if that turns into an MP trainer down the line. But yeah, it's interesting to see because and then you scroll down to the bottom of your roster. And, yeah, Junkyard Dog, is he ever going to be valuable other than Blitz fodder? I don't think so. So
Yeah.
yes, he will.
Yeah, there's
Enlighten me, creeps.
well,
Oh, is
I
he?
mean, not him specifically, but well, I mean, there you go. Punisher just said.
Oh, he's the
valuable for the
reinforced gem
neutral.
damage trainer.
Oh.
No way. Summon 4 gods in our faction pulled Junkyard Dog as his first mega like months and months ago toward the beginning of the game, and he was like his best character for the longest time. And
has been worthless up until 2
it's been
weeks.
worthless. He'll be so happy to know. Now he's got to become a VIP member.
Wow.
Oh, that's awesome. I was wondering who is that trainer? JYD. What do you know?
Yeah, Kanation just mentioned Diesel, which also brings up Showboat Orton. They create their moves rely a lot on reinforced gems, and of course
Right.
Andre is the create more reinforced gems trainer.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not going to help the new Triple H because he's got a area of gems to turn into reinforced.
Fair point. I didn't remember what his moveset was, but yeah, definitely a fair point there.
Yeah. Okay, I think you guys need to hang out in our Discord because I like these intellectual conversations. So you're not allowed to leave. All of you creeps that came in to listen to this podcast, you're not allowed to leave.
He's a sapiosexual. He likes all the stimulation.
I do. Oh, there's nothing sexier than a good brain.
I would have to agree with that.
Oh man. So
except yours.
Oh my god. Have you been struggling with any game fatigue? Like, has it plateaued for you? And if it has, what would you implement to involve engagement, make it more exciting?
I'm pretty sure we all have had that game fatigue from time to time, where like, is this really worth it?
Yeah.
And you take a step back, you think about it for a bit, and then you're back into it, probably deeper than you were before. I know that I have. I'm willing to bet that most people have, if not everyone. Now, as far as something that I would implement, I can't think of anything off the top of my head as far as something new, but to expand and improve on something would be the way Feud is done. Feud is done right now very similarly to like a Call of Duty live game where you have to be online on the server and creating matchups and everything like that, and it has to search for matchmaking and everything like that. But it could be made a hell of a lot easier and way more streamlined if they just did kind of an offline format, to where every time a feud is coming up, you have 48 hours to set a lineup. Otherwise, you cannot be involved in the faction feud. From there, the game auto maps a lineup of each faction and all of the members that submitted a lineup, and puts it in, let's say, kind of like a Gauntlet Blitz road style map, to where your first opponent, let's say, Davey, you go in and you get matched up against CreepSquad, and your first opponent is me. Well, step 1 on that road is my lowest guy. Step 2 on that road is my second lowest guy, and so on and so on and so on, until you get through that road. And then, of course, you have the option to heal your guys and recoup, and then get back in. And then you get lined up against X from CreepSquad or Grim Creepers, and you go through his guys. Then you get matched up against Kid Frost, and you go through Kid Frost's people, and so on and so forth, until you get through Grim Creepers, if you get through Grim Creepers. If you're like most of us who would get through an entire faction's worth of people, then say you get matched up against Execution. Then you start the process all over again and you get through them. Then you might get matched up against Creepy Hollow or the Haven or Purple Cobras, all these other factions out there. It's more of an offline format, and it could fix so many lag issues. It could fix so many different glitches, just by changing the format, make it more like Versus mixed with Gauntlet Blitz.
Yeah, that makes so much more sense, especially since there's if it would make sense in this format if you were to make a move and then I get to react in real time instead of the AI making a move for me. Then the current system would make a ton of sense. But like you said, there's no reason why it can't be. I think that's the best way to put it, a blend of Versus and Gauntlet Blitz.
Right. Now, if they ever were to make it truly live like that, that would make a completely different aspect to the game. Like, say you and I get matched up, and beforehand there's a coin toss, and you choose heads, and it comes up heads. Well, now here I am playing live, but I'm going second.
Right.
You have a major advantage in that case.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I think, might rage quit over that, but
It's true.
it would definitely make it interesting.
I mean, if they rage
Who would
quit,
have thought rage quitting in this game? They eliminate rage quitting by killing off your players to 0 health.
Yeah.
Yeah. They eliminate rage quitting by making it addictive. That's what they do.
Facts. Oh, Punisher says Scopely is working on live player versus player.
Ah.
Are they really?
They got a lot of stuff they need to fix first.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They definitely need to learn from the old console games, the ones that we were talking about earlier, where you get that cartridge and that's it. There's no DLC, there's no downloadable patches, anything like that. You make sure your game's done right, then you put it out.
Yeah, I love technology through and through. At the same time, there's so many areas where I think it's made us lazy, either personally or even company wise. But I even look at, let's say, acting. You go to the movies, and these days there's just so many just CGI fests, and you look back at movies that we grew up on, and certainly before, like, they had to tell a story with far less, and they had to be really good at it. And same thing with the games, they had to do it right the first time. or and the ones that did it right the first time, we remember them to this day.
Oh yeah, and Star Wars. That's a beautiful example.
Yeah.
When the original Star Wars came out almost 41 years ago, CGI, there was CGI, yes, there was special effects, yes, but it's nowhere near the caliber that it is today. To this day, even though the special editions came out and they made it look so much better with the with the better sound, the better CGI, all that sort of stuff, and everything like that, I still will not watch those versions. I only will watch the original theatrical cuts of A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. I'm sorry, but I'm a purist. Those
Right.
those were the versions I grew up watching. Those are the versions I will continue to watch.
In the case of that, do you think is a situation where nostalgia makes everything better?
No.
Emphatically no.
Because, exactly. Because also, speaking of the Star Wars universe, not a lot of people know about these, but after Return of the Jedi came out, there were 2 movies that were spin-offs, that were the Ewoks movies. And it had nothing to do with the other Star Wars stories except the fact that it included Ewoks. And I used to love those movies. When I was 4, 5, 6 years old, I absolutely loved those movies because I love the Ewoks.
Yeah.
But looking back now, I mean, I seriously did go back and try to watch those just a couple of years ago, and boy, do they suck.
Yeah. Well, I think, yeah, it's interesting, and even in wrestling, I remember when I was really young, Ultimate Warrior was like amazing. I was so enthralled with him.
Yeah.
And then as I grew up, I really, Bret Hart became my favorite wrestler and continues to be my favorite of all time. But yeah, just a few years ago, I went back and watched that epic match that I remember as a kid, from WrestleMania, whatever it was, 6 or 7, Warrior and Hogan.
Again, Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, and I was like,
Yeah,
wow, this is so bad. This is so bad.
Accurate.
Right, but that one does have a certain nostalgia factor to it.
It does.
Is it a good match? No.
No.
But was it an exciting match at the time? And can you kind of revert back to being that child, that 6-year-old child that I was at that point? Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
But it doesn't have the same nostalgia value as say if I were to turn on a Nintendo and plug in pro wrestling.
Oh yeah.
That game is so good.
No doubt. No doubt. And even in the movie standpoint, my fiance and I recently, she had never seen Shawshank Redemption, and I hadn't seen it in more than 20 years. And and I went back to watch it.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I got to interrupt. That's one of, if not the greatest movies of all time.
Oh yeah, I agree. And I mean, and watching it back, you're like, man, if they had even just a little bit more special effects, like Morgan Freeman didn't look like he was properly aging throughout the storytelling, but it didn't matter. Like, you still felt the world was moving. And you're right, it is one of the, like, they didn't have all the fancy gadgets and gizmos and CGI and anything, but it's so captivating because they knew how to write a story, to tell a story, to act it out, and to evoke that emotion from you. And that's just missing when we have, all these things that we can rely on and have do-overs and or in the case of this game, just release it and figure out what to do later.
Right. Release it, cross your fingers, hope for the best. And then when you start hearing about bugs, keep working on the new stuff and not fixing the bugs.
Or just release something that doesn't have a clear long-term vision. Gear, hopefully not perks.
Yeah. Speaking of which, when was the last time gear chips were available?
Oh my god.
During one of those first 2 Enhance events. And I was like, oh, tons of gear chips. And then
I feel as if perks are going to go the way of gear chips.
I'm sure, you know, within a couple of months you'll never earn another perk because you won't get the chips anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same for the gear. I mean, I have enough gear chips to actually buy some gear, but I can't think of, you know, who to actually spend it on right now. So they're just sitting there along with my white bags waiting to be used.
Well, for me, it was, you know, I think I got all the gear for whoever I wanted to, and I still had a ton left over, except the gear that I really want is Enzo's,
Right.
and
And it's
just to
locked.
speed up farming. And no, you can't use that. So I thought,
Mm-hmm.
what's the point?
Oh yeah.
So
And the fact that so many different gears are able to be viewed and the perks of them are able to be viewed, but not able to be purchased.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't mind getting the Andre the Giant gear.
yeah, that one too.
Last I checked, it was locked.
And you get the giant tag link as well. Beastly.
Oh yeah, and I just pulled Powerhouse Big Show the same day I pulled Harlem Heat Booker the other day when
Oh boy.
oh geez, who was it that was the mega the other day? Oh, Stone Cold.
Steel or Stone Cold, yeah.
When Stone Cold was the mega, yeah, I figured, you know, I might as well try to get him, you know, because the limit time tour is only available for him. But I didn't pull him, but I pulled those two, and I'm happy. Now, not nearly as happy as I was whenever I tried to pull Showboat Orton when he was the mega the last time he was available as the mega. I didn't pull him, but I pulled Xavier Woods, ABA, ADR, and Kalisto
Oh
Whoa.
all on
boy.
the same thing.
Oh
Wow.
boy.
It's one
Wow.
that was one of those things, like, I'll take it. You
Luck
know,
of the
Oh, yeah.
Irish.
yeah. Oh, geez, don't say that because yeah, I don't have nearly as much luck as some others.
Yeah, I mean, luck is fleeting in this game. That's for
Oh,
sure.
absolutely.
But my
Just
man,
when you think you're on a winning streak, they put you back to zero.
yeah, no kidding. No kidding. But we're gonna have to wrap this up because I think we're at like an hour and 42 minutes here already.
Oh, geez,
I know
have
the
we hit all
time
the
is.
questions?
Yeah, no, I don't even think we got to everything. Pretty much, we got to
You
a
know
bunch of
what's
other stuff.
funny? We are ending it at the same place we ended it last time. Not because we weren't recording, but because we recorded too much. So we never got to answer last question.
Oh, there we go.
That's funny.
Oh, that's hilarious. You guys are gonna have to come up with some more questions and you know, add the ones that we didn't get to onto the next list, and we'll do a take two part two.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
awesome, man.
absolutely. And I'd love to get more of your family members on here too. If any of you guys listening want to be on the show, just hit up Davey or myself, and we'll get something scheduled.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like to
hit
thank
up
the.
pass it along if they don't want to reach out to you personally.
Yeah, I like
That
to
works
thank
too.
Creep Squad for showing out in number to support. That's very beautiful.
This is really awesome. Yeah, we got, let's see, I don't know, it seems like 10 at least between the start and now.
Oh yeah, and by the way, the creeps that are listening, again, if you have not already, please go subscribe to their YouTube channel. It's just 2vement. Take the word movement, but change the MO to a 2, and you got it.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely be spamming the chats whenever the streaming version goes live to let everybody know to go listen and to go subscribe to your channel.
Boom.
Sweet.
Well, this has been another successful podcast, way better than the first one. So I guess it was a happy accident that didn't go through. Thank you so much, Red, for coming through. We are your hosts, Davey D and the Vengeful One. Have a good night.
Thanks again for having me, guys.